Surprisingly, there are a lot of Marines out there that can't even do a single pull-up. This instruction is to specifically get you to 1 rep. So let's start off with the basics. So when we do a proper pull-up, we are consistently pulling our body weight completely off the ground. What we want to do is take some of that body weight off and make it a little easier. In order to take off some of that weight, we're going to change the angle and have our feet on the ground. These are called Australian pull-ups. I don't know why they call them Australian pull-ups. It's kind of a bad look for Australia in my opinion, but that's what they're called, or we can call them inverted rows. The idea with this style of pull-up is to take off some of the weight. So all you're gonna do is grab onto the bar, step forward a little bit, and then start pulling from this position. Now, personally, I don't believe that if you just did this, you will progress that well into doing a pull-up for 2 reasons. So the first reason is this is more of a horizontal pull than a vertical pull like the pull-up. And the second is because as we want to make these harder, we step forward more, and you can even put your foot on a box. We just get more and more horizontal as we're pulling. So this is still a great exercise for increasing muscle pulling strength, but if you want this to translate into a pull-up, you have to do more vertical pulling. That's why this next exercise, in my opinion, is the king of all pull-up exercises, and that is the negative. All a negative is stepping up on a platform and cutting out the pull-up phase, stepping off, holding for a second, and then lowering down at a consistent rate. This works out the same muscles used in a pull-up. All we're doing is just working them out in the eccentric phase, which is the lower down phase. This next style of training is called isometrics. And what an isometric is pausing in positions on the bar. So we'll pause here, hold for a few seconds, pause a little bit lower. I like to call this 90 degrees. And then almost fully locked out, but still engaged. And then pause here as well. Whenever we train isometrics, we actually train above and below the position that we are in. So I think 3 to 4 position holds will work out the entire range of motion of a pull-up. And it's also really good for spot checking your weaknesses. And all that means is if you're weak at the top portion, just practice holding in the top position, because that'll build more stamina, endurance, and a little bit of strength in that position, making you more comfortable. This next one is just getting comfortable on the bar with your body weight. So some people struggle with just holding onto the bar with both hands. This is just called a dead hang, and this is a fine training tool. But what we should be aiming for is to amplify this effect, especially if you can already hold yourself with 2 hands. And all that means is instead of hanging with 2 arms, you just hang with 1. And you'll notice this is a lot harder than hanging with 2, because we are a lot less stable in this position, and we have to hold with double the grip intensity, because now all of our body weight is on 1 arm. Those single arm dead hangs will get you feeling much more comfortable on the bar, especially when you put both hands back on the bar, because we are a lot more stable with both hands. So next I want to talk about your brachioradialis and your brachialis. Your brachioradialis is this forearm muscle that runs between your forearm and your elbow, and your brachialis is somewhere around here, kind of in your upper arm. We're going to go back to the Australian version of a pull-up, and instead of using 2 arms, we're going to use 1. So from here, put the other hand on your back and pull inwards. You'll notice you feel it right in your inner elbow on your brachioradialis, and as we hold the top, you can feel your brachialis engaging. It's also a little bit of your bicep, but this is a great way to target 2 of the primary muscles in doing pull-ups. This last one's going to hyper-focus 1 arm in the vertical pulling pattern. It's a 1-arm pull-up. I'm just kidding, don't do that. That's an advanced movement. And the reason I wanted to do it was to show you that if you put the proper techniques in and you strength train, do these types of pull-ups, your body will take you to places that you've never thought possible. Lastly, this was all done with very minimal equipment. I highly suggest if you have more equipment at your disposal, where you can go to a gym and lift actual weights and move around some dumbbells, all of that will play a role into developing the proper strength and the muscles you need to be able to do a pull-up. But I do hope this helps.